You know how they say youth is wasted on the young? I'd say that rings true, especially when I think about this one time I decided to hitchhike back home for the holidays. I was a broke college student, too proud to ask my folks for money, and too naive to foresee the potential dangers of hitchhiking. So there I was, thumb out on the side of the road, when an 18-wheeler pulls up. The driver was this rugged, middle-aged guy named Frank. Honestly, he looked like a picture-perfect representation of a trucker, right down to the worn-out cap and the grizzled beard. The truck's cab was warm, a welcome respite from the biting cold outside. The hum of the engine was soothing, and Frank seemed like an all-right guy, quiet but friendly. As we hit the road, he started to share stories from his life on the road. He talked about the places he'd seen, the people he'd met, the sense of freedom he felt. It was fascinating, really. But then, his stories began to shift. He started sharing tales about bar brawls he'd been involved in, the kind that left someone with a broken jaw or a nasty shiner. He told them with this nonchalant air, almost boasting about the violence, and that's when I started to feel uneasy. One story in particular stuck with me. He spoke about a fight in a dingy bar in the middle of nowhere. Apparently, he'd gotten into an argument with a local over a game of pool. Things escalated quickly and ended with Frank knocking the guy out cold with a pool cue. The way he described it, how he mimicked the swing, it was unsettling to say the least. At some point, he reached into the glove box and pulled out this old, well-worn knife. He didn't threaten me or anything, just started flipping it casually, the blade catching the faint glow of the dashboard lights. There was something about the way he handled the knife, the familiarity, the ease, that got my heart pounding. I knew I needed to get out, but I was in the middle of nowhere, and it was freezing outside. So, I played along, acted interested, even threw in a few questions to keep him talking. When I saw the lights of a gas station up ahead, I seized the opportunity. I told Frank I needed a bathroom break and offered to grab him a coffee. He hesitated, but eventually agreed to stop. I grabbed my bag and practically bolted out of the truck, my heart pounding in my chest. Inside the gas station, I took a deep breath, grateful for the escape. When I came out, Frank was gone, and I was left standing in the harsh neon lights of the gas station, feeling a strange mix of relief and adrenaline. I ended up calling my folks from the gas station, admitting defeat. They weren't thrilled about my reckless adventure, but they were glad I was safe. It was a long night, but eventually, I made it home. You know, sometimes you just make decisions that don't make a lick of sense. That's what happened to me and my buddies, Jake and Rob, a few years back. We were on our way to a poker tournament in a town about 3 hours from home. We were about an hour into the trip, the scenery blurring past the windows, the engine humming a rhythmic tune, and suddenly Jake, who's driving, starts slowing down. I'm crammed in the back seat, and I lean forward, peering out at this lone figure by the side of the road. "Hold up, what are you doing?" I ask, my heart already picking up its pace. Jake shrugs nonchalantly. "I'm giving this dude a lift. I do it all the time." He's acting like it's no big deal, but all my alarm bells are ringing. The hitchhiker, now trotting up to us, is a man around his 40s, looking worn out and rough around the edges, his clothes stained and shabby. He's clutching what can only be described as a large purse or a diaper bag, which is odd, to say the least. The stench of him fills the car, heavy and sour. I'm looking between Jake and Rob in disbelief, trying to figure out if this is some kind of a joke. As the man finally reaches us, Rob rolls down his window, his casual demeanor contrasting sharply with my anxiety. He asks, "Where you headed?" When it turns out he's going to the same city we are, I'm thinking maybe this won't be so bad. Until Jake asks, "What's in the bag?" "None of your fucking business," the hitchhiker retorts. His words hang heavy in the air, a palpable tension creeping into the car. Jake, ever the peacemaker, tries to explain. "Look, I'll give you a ride, but I have to know what's in the bag. Can't risk giving you a ride if you have weapons or drugs or something. So, tell me, what's in the bag?" "None of your fucking business," comes the same curt response. Jake's patience is wearing thin, and he gives the guy one last chance, but the hitchhiker just repeats his crude refusal. As the tension rose in the car, my friend Rob, who was sitting in the passenger seat, saw an opportunity and made a quick decision. As the hitchhiker repeated his abrasive response, "None of your fucking business!" For the final time, Rob reached out and snatched the bag from the hitchhiker's grasp. "Go! Go! Go!" Rob shouted, urging our driver to hit the gas. We took off, leaving the hitchhiker standing in a cloud of dust, yelling and cursing as he tried to chase us down the road. As we put distance between us and the hitchhiker, we all looked at the bag with a mix of apprehension and curiosity. But whether it was fear, the adrenaline, or some lingering sense of respect for the man's stubborn privacy, we never did open it. The bag sat there, its contents a mystery, as we drove on to our destination. We dropped it off at a nearby police station on our way back, figuring it was the right thing to do. So to this day, we still don't know what was in that bag. And you know, part of me is still curious, but another part of me is relieved that we left that mystery unsolved. After all, sometimes not knowing is the best thing for peace of mind.
Beach week post-high school graduation was a rite of passage for us, a taste of independence, freedom, and the invincibility of youth. That's when my best friend Tara and I found ourselves embarking on an adventure, one that started innocuously but ended up being a lesson in caution. Our friend's place, the hub of that night's festivities, was a few miles away. High on excitement and, truth be told, some alcohol, we began our journey on foot. After a couple of blocks, we quickly realized the impracticality of our plan. The endless stretch of beach houses, bathed in the soft glow of the setting sun, seemed to blur together as we strolled down the sandy sidewalk. The thought of reaching our destination faster and resuming our merriment was tempting enough to cloud our judgment. Hitching a ride seemed like the perfect solution. Almost as if on cue, a car full of boisterous guys slowed down beside us, their friendly jeers and hoots filling the warm, salty air. A slurred offer for a ride was made, and after an exchanged glance, Tara and I shrugged and thought, why not? As soon as we climbed into the back seat, the air inside the car felt different. Laughter echoed off the faded upholstery, a little too loud, a little too strained. Tara, ever the jokester, laughingly pleaded, "Just don't kill us, okay?" The laughter died down as the driver, a rough-looking guy with a stubble, began describing the weapons they had in the car, even brandishing a gun. Fear pooled in the pit of my stomach, the joke suddenly taking on a sinister edge. Things took a turn for the worse when the driver veered off the main road, the familiar seaside view replaced by a dimly lit parking lot. My heart hammered in my chest, each beat echoing the regret of our decision. I forced a smile, trying to keep the atmosphere light, praying for a quick end to this nightmare. For the most agonizing 5 minutes of my life, they kept us there, soaking in our fear, their laughter no longer friendly but predatory. Finally, as abruptly as they had turned off, they drove back onto the main road, their laughter subsiding as they dropped us off near our friend's place. The relief was almost as intoxicating as the alcohol. I stumbled out of the car, my legs shaky, my heart still racing. We got to our friend's place and drowned our terror in more drinks, trying to laugh it off. I would love to say that I learned my lesson that night, but the truth is, we ended up hitching another ride the following summer, thankfully without incident. I guess sometimes we need more than one close call to truly understand